3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Unlearned and Reborn, a podcast where old habits are unlearned and new ones are reborn. Hi, welcome back. How are you doing? How are y'all doing today? Listen, if you haven't already, I need you, well, for the new people here, just in case, for whatever reason, you started on episode 26, season 2. I'm your host, Shania Alyse. Hey, how you feeling? How you doing? So, yes, I'm so excited for this week's episode. If you haven't listened to last week was about the cycle of reinventing yourself, episode 25. I need you to go back and listen to that because it low-key is going to get you ready for this episode, even though like the topics are different, but I just still feel like they do mesh well together. You got me? Okay. So this is episode 26, season 2. In this episode, we're going to talk about being in survival mode. Listen, this is going to be a goodie. Seriously, this might have to be one that you run it back. All right? So in this episode, I have broken it down into 3 talking points that for me personally, I've realized that, okay, I was doing that because I was in survival mode. And I feel like I'm just now getting out of that. So I want to help y'all. I'm even going to drop some nuggets towards the end of things that I feel like can really help you stay out of survival mode. You know, recognizing, accountability, all those beautiful things, okay? You ready? Come on. So, as you know, the theme for season 2 is healing your inner child. So, oftentimes when we are children, we absorb so many things, both good and bad. But isn't it something that the bad things tend to grow with us as we age? You know? And I'm not saying the good things don't follow us, because absolutely, you know, those friends that you've made, they become your best friends, they become your bridesmaids, your godmothers, for your children, all of those beautiful things. So we do take things, but I'm no scientist, neuroscientist, no professional. I only speak from my experience. I feel like the brain does something very, very different with the negative things that we experience. It's almost like it burns it and etches it into our brain to say, listen, you cannot get on this bike again without the tricycle or without the training wheels, because when you took the training wheels off, you fell over and you scraped your knee very bad. And you know, when we get back on that bike, we like tense up. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. I don't know if I could do it. Put the training wheels back on. And our parent is like, listen, you got it. It's okay. We could try again tomorrow. Or if you have that one parent that's like, you gonna ride this bike, because I'm tired of you telling me that you didn't have me buy this bike. You gonna ride this bike. Look, most of us is like, yes, my parent is parent number 2. They were very like, no, you gonna get it today. And if you don't get it today, you gonna keep trying until you get it, because you're not about to waste my money. And yeah, so the first step is survival mode for me. And all of these steps are things that I feel like survival mode is. Let me just throw that disclaimer out and things that I've experienced. Number 1, survival mode came from a traumatic event where I felt uncomfortable and unprepared for the outcome or the actual event. I'm going to say it again. Survival mode came from a traumatic event that I had experienced where I felt uncomfortable and extremely underprepared for the outcome or the event. I feel like things that I have experienced in my childhood and then go to being a teenager, going to early adulthood, and now, you know, still into adulthood, I feel like those events turned on my fight or flight, but I was not able to turn it off. So, for example, you know, going through things and experiencing the trauma at a young age, especially at 11, where my first traumatic event had happened, I didn't know about therapy. I didn't know about, hey, listen, if you don't take care of this now, this is going to really cause you problems when it comes down to step number 2, which is that survival mode affects your relationships, and both platonic and romantic. It's going to cause a problem. You know, I really did not expect or know that I was going to have a really, really big issue with not always feeling like I had to run. Oh, no, no, no. I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. And that even ties into step number 3. But that first one is me even realizing that the reason why at a young age I went into survival mode, and survival mode can be active and dormant. You know, you could be triggered and now your survival mode is more active. But I feel like we all have the ability to go into survival mode because that's just our body's gift, if you will say. Like if we are in danger, our body is going to put on our shield and they're like, okay, let's get it. Let's go with it. And you wonder why, people have been said to lift cars off of their loved ones. My grandma was stuck under the car. I don't know what I don't before I knew it, I was lifting up the car off of her. Listen, that's that Samson supernatural God-given strength, okay? To be able to do something like that. But if we're being real, I know the movies and stuff portray it as, oh, you drink the potion, or because you're the chosen one, you're going to have this strength all the time. Now, I do believe God has given some people just a knack for just being very great at, things like sports and lifting and, whatever the case may be. So they do have, that is a natural God-given talent, right? But I don't know how we would be able to survive if we had to do that daily. Like how Superman has to go and save the world and Mr. Incredible has to pick up buildings and throw them. We are human, y'all. And I don't know if that's why we need to run a few rounds with Hollywood and Disney, because they have put it into our subconscious that we are meant to handle these type of things. Even the sitcoms or the reality TV shows or, your favorite show. I love Scandal. But it's like, baby, Olivia Pope was struggling. Sis was in survival mode from season 1 to season 6. It's ridiculous. And it's like, we don't think, of course, we know that stuff is not real, quote unquote, but I also think that some things still get stored into our subconscious, and we don't realize that is why we are carrying ourselves in a certain light or in a certain manner, if that makes sense, right? I definitely believe that the first traumatic event was the sexual trauma that I experienced at 11. And that is what turned that thing on. Now, I will say, remember how earlier I just said that I believe that survival mode can be both active and dormant? I would say mine was dormant then because I'm 11. I didn't really know about sex. I didn't really know that, your body could have, be aroused by this kind of thing, even though it was not okay the way that it was happening to me. It was not warranted. There was no consent involved. All of those things. I was not aware that this thing would follow me years, a decade even, beyond that time, and that if I had not dealt with it, which I didn't, I just kind of pushed it back to my subconscious to where I legitimately forgot about it until I was actually in a situation that literally pulled that thing back to my memory and I was living in that in the moment. Boom. That is when my survival mode became from dormant to active. So I just wanted to just really slow that part down to let you know that if you are now in your adult age, and again, speaking from experience, but if you find yourself now operating out of that survival mode, I would encourage you to sit down with your journal. I love journaling. I just got back into it. It is beautiful. It is amazing. And no judgment when you journal either. If you got to say that raggedy piece of had the nerve to do that and now I'm finna, baby, go ahead and write that. Because you're going to have to get it out eventually. Because if you don't get it out on a paper, you're going to get it out. You're going to get it out some other way. And you might not really be proud of the other way that you decide to, expel that frustration. So journaling, that's just a little free nugget, for y'all. But I would encourage you to take the time to write it down. Like, okay, why is it that when my husband goes in for a hug, I'm like, heck no, get off of me, bro. Like, I literally feel like I'm one of the bros and I want to square up with him. That's not normal. And I want you to understand, too, that it took me a while to understand when things were said to me, like in therapy, or even when my husband would say, that's not normal. They are talking about the action, the response to the situation is not normal. I.e., for example, if my husband gives me a hug and I say, I kind of shrug him off, Or, he asked for a kiss and I gave him a little peck on the cheek. In his mind, he's saying that response for me hugging and embracing my wife, asking for a kiss or going in for a kiss, the response that you gave me is not normal. In a healthy, healed environment, a hug would be okay. A kiss would be okay, especially if that's something that you guys do. Now, if that is not something that you do, I don't want you to mistake me saying that if you are not a hugger, that is not normal. Because even small children, some children just don't like to be hugged. They are more to themselves. However, in my opinion, that's few, far, and in between, because there is a reason why that child does not like to be hugged. It could have been a loud noise that startled them, when they were getting ready to get a hug by somebody. Or, that's why they tell you don't scare children, because that can start to develop something in them to be fearful for no reason. Those little things. So understand that normal does not mean crazy. Or not normal does not mean crazy. Not normal does not mean disgusting. Not normal does not mean there's something wrong with you as a person. There's something that is missing in your behavior cycle that is not allowing you to complete the circle, if that makes sense. Like I said, with the hug, there's something that is a barrier that is not allowing you to either receive the hug or even give hugs. You see this, I've even experienced where it's hard for people to even express affection, and come to find out it's because as a child, they were not given affection. That was frowned upon in their home. Or if it was given, it came after they got a whooping. So now you didn't got a whooping, okay, let's go get ice cream. So now you associate abuse, and I'm not saying that all whoopings, are abuse, but you associate discipline with hug. So now, whether you believe it or not, you start to grow older, and now you say, okay, I want to get my husband's attention, but I don't know how to just outwardly say, hey, babe, I need a hug. So I'm going to go start an argument so we can get loud and rowdy with each other, and then I'm now going to go make up. Whether that's make up sex, make up hug, make up dinner, make up gifts, whatever. It's those little things that through therapy and a lot of therapy for me, I've experienced a lot of self-awareness just heightened. Like my self-awareness has been there, but since going through therapy, it shot through the roof, because I've really been able to say, okay, wait a minute. That's why that is. That's why I wanted to start an argument, because I couldn't express this. That's why I, decided that, I wanted to go hang out with these people because of this. Those little things, if you allow yourself without judgment, is the key part. And I, coming from somebody that struggled with being judgmental, not even to others, to myself, for feeling ways that, were okay, for being angry. Y'all, it took me a while, and I still struggle with it sometimes, with being okay with being angry at somebody. And these people had legitimately hurt. Like, I'm not just angry because, girl, we wore the same outfit and you ain't tell me. No, babes, I'm talking about angry because, like you broke my heart. Angry because, you said you was going to borrow money. You wanted to borrow money and you didn't give it back to me. Angry because I found out that you're talking trash behind my back. Those things warrant, that type of emotion. Or, any type of emotion. And I was so like, no, God will be angry with me for being mad. He will frown upon me. So listen, let me pause right here. At this marker in the episode. If you struggle with that, understand this. Even as a Christian, I'm a Christian. God does not say, do not be mad. He said, don't let the sun go down. And, y'all haven't talked about it. But even then, I struggle with that, because I'm like, okay, some issues, especially if you're married, these issues are big issues. So it's kind of hard to solve it in a day. So maybe try to transition into listen, when you feel something, maybe some of us are filled with a lot of anger and, emotion. So maybe we do have to take a breather before we do express it to our spouse. But I remember me and my husband went through, and I still have the other 2 points, so don't think I forgot. I remember me and my husband went through this phase where I felt like I didn't know how to articulate that I was upset about stuff. I would just, internalize it. So I don't know how long the period lasts, but I would text him and we would talk about it through text, or I would write a note about it. And, if you are that type of person, that is okay. You know, if you can start there and work yourself up to actually being able to use your voice to say it, because even through text, even through me writing it down, that stuff can get misconstrued. You ever received a text from somebody, you like, girl, the nerve of you. And then you realize that even though they said it like that, they didn't mean it like that. Yes. We send typos all the time. We send an exclamation point instead of a question mark, or a question mark instead of a period, all that kind of stuff. And listen, those little endings, as small as they are, an emoji here, an emoji there, that stuff can change the whole conversation. Who you there with, question mark, versus who are you there with an emoji that's looking with one eyebrow raised? Like, come on, like those same wording, two different meanings. So, understand that, number one, that there is an event that you have experienced that has caused you to go into survival mode. And I want you to take the time this week to really, really try to figure out what that event was. Can you do that? Okay. All right. Number two. Survival mode affects your relationships, both romantic and platonic. I've kind of been hinting on it with number one, that you can even develop a unhealthy sense of codependency from your partner because you have experienced this traumatic event that has caused you to go into autopilot in survival mode. And then you have the opposite end of that, where you have this overly independency about yourself, like, little do you know, I don't need you, buddy. I can do it myself. I'll fix it myself. I'll take the trash out myself. I'll wash my own car. I'll get my own groceries. I'll get my nails done. I don't need your money. That kind of thing. Especially in women, that's very, very easy. And it can kind of be common with women as well that have experienced maybe a heartbreak, or, they have experienced a traumatic event that sent them into survival mode and they haven't dealt with it yet, let alone address it and want to even address it. Because let's be realistic, some things that we experience in this lifetime are painful, y'all. Some of it is excruciating pain. I don't know how many of you have experienced that type of pain, but it is pain to the point where eating is hard. It's the pain to the point where taking care of yourself is hard. Being intimate is hard. Some of us have gone through some things that we've never even told anybody else about. That we lodge in the back of our brain and we don't deal with. Sis, bro, that is why you are in survival mode. Because the body is going to do what it's supposed to do, which means it's supposed to operate as stress-free as possible. And you can say, well, girl, I have gone through something and, I'm fine. I got my circle of friends. I guarantee you're probably how I was, where I had that stint of my life where I was fine. I didn't experience no trauma. I wasn't crying. I didn't feel like I had to watch over my back when I go to my car at night. None of that. You know why? Because I had buried that thing into my subconscious to where my active brain, of course, I don't know the terminology, but that's the best way I can describe it. The brain, the part of the brain that I'm using, my conscious brain, yeah, I guess so, had no recollection of that happening. But how I know that is how a lot of people operate is because little events will happen that will trigger that thing to spring up like a fountain of water. And you would be like, what in the world? Like, where's this coming from? And it's so, depending on how long you suppressed it. For mine, I said it was about 10 years until mine finally came up, and probably a little longer, maybe 10 or 12. That thing felt like I was being consumed by it, y'all. Like literally consumed by this thing, because I'm like, okay, what the heck? Why is this thing coming out? Like eventually your body is going to have to push that stuff out because it's not meant to subdue it. Maybe for a short period of time until, your adrenaline comes down. Okay. And then now you feel the gunshot wound. Now you feel the stab wound. Now you feel that, okay, my heart is actually broken. I need to go to therapy for this, whatever the case may be. But initially, survival mode is just to protect you from that impact so that you don't die on us. Sis, bro, we need you here. But it was never meant for you to operate out of 24/7, because when you are in survival mode, There are certain parts of your body that will shut down per se and get less attention, while your other parts that need the attention, everything floods over there to help it. So you got a heartbreak, everything goes over there. You are emotionally drained, everything goes over there. You're very fatigued, everything goes over there. Your body is hurting from working 12-hour shifts back to back, doubles and triples. Everything goes over there. But guess what suffers? Sometimes you don't shower. Sometimes you don't eat. Sometimes you don't take care of yourself. You don't comb your hair. You don't brush your teeth. You don't put on clean clothes. There's other things that are going to start to suffer because your body cannot do it all at once. That's why our body has systems, our respiratory system, our I should have looked these up, y'all. You know what I mean. Our body has our cardiovascular system. The body has systems for a reason, because each system was designed by God to operate a certain way. If it was all in one, baby, we'd be in trouble. One missed meal, we'd be in trouble. Too much sugar, we'd be in trouble. Too little sleep, we'd be in trouble. It is very strategic that we have systems in our body. So don't think that it's strange that you do start to feel these feelings, because your body is saying, hey, girl, what's up? Like, what's going on? Especially for women, our cycles will start to, when your cycle can be, unless you are normally irregular, and even that's not completely normal. But say, women, we start stressing too much, our body's going to tell us, hey, homegirl, fix it, and fix it now. Your periods may start being irregular. You might start losing hair, depending how stressed you are. You might start losing weight, depending on how stressed you are. Our bodies are going to tell us, and going back to the codependency or the independence. If you're married, you'll have an issue with asking your spouse for help. I'll do it myself. Don't worry about it. You'll internalize that stress and make sure everyone else is taken care of. That's even a sublet of survival mode. Making sure, I'm gonna take care of, oh my gosh, I'm gonna take care of my husband. I'm gonna take care of my kids. And you haven't had time to yourself in weeks. You haven't done done some self-care in months. All of that are results of being in survival mode. If you're a parent, it can affect the way that you discipline your children. You could be yelling all the time. I go through these periods where I know, okay, I'm like, Shania, you need some self-care. You need some time, by yourself. When I'm always fussing, little things are setting me off. I'm irritated, agitated, attitudey, moody. Okay, I need to take some time to myself. I'm in survival mode right now. And I have to ask myself, okay, what caused this? Oh, okay, I see, yeah. Okay, I need to, I've been putting off, this situation, this breakup, or this conversation that I need to have. I'm putting it off, and now it's spilling over and turning my survival mode on, because my brain is like, okay, well, we know that you need to do this, but you don't want to do it. And now it's causing you stress. So now we about to put you in, flight or fight. Even as a parent, if you grew up in a strict home, you could possibly become that strict parent, to your children. So that's a part of survival mode. Or you could be the opposite, that you did grow up in that strict home. You don't want to be that way, but then you take the other route where now you're an overly submissive parent, where, your children just have their way with you. They're kicking and screaming. And, I'm not saying if you don't believe in the belt or, popping, okay, fine. But children today, they need discipline, some form of it, whether it's a timeout, no tablet, no TV, a pop, a spanking, you're not going out for the weekend, whatever the case may be. Children at that age, they are too naive to not be directed properly. They have to be directed at that age. But, your survival mode can even affect all of that. Your marriage, your friendships even. I found that I went through periods of my life where it was very hard for me to even keep, my friendships. And for me, I can, if I let myself, I can become a emotionally codependent friend. Where I'm like, girl, like, you don't hit me up. Like, dang, you don't check on me, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, that may be true. But I've had to learn that first, if I want this friendship, I need to make sure that I am self-regulating first. Because at the end of the day, this person is not my mother. They are not my father. They are a friend. And that's another episode that I will have to do on what are your expectations of your friends? Because that could be another reason why you find that your survival mode is so heightened in relationships, because you are expecting them to be your Superman, and it's just not possible. I'm sorry that you've experienced things in your life that have caused you to have this empty hole. I'm here to say that I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry that you've experienced that sexual trauma. I'm sorry that you've experienced that abandonment, that neglect, that loneliness. If you experience those big emotions as a child, that thing is life-altering. Loneliness and abandonment. Children are here for love. They don't ask to be here. They are sent here from God to respective parents, and it is our job to take care of them and nurture and care for them until it's time for them to do it on their own. But even then, I'm going to make sure that my children understand, yes, you may be 18 and grown, but this assignment that God has gifted me and your dad, this is a lifetime agreement. You ever buy something from Amazon and it says it's a lifetime guarantee? That's what parenting is to me. I don't ascribe to the when they're 18, oh, you're grown now, figure it out. No. Because guess what? At 18, I didn't have it figured out. I'm about to be 27 this month and I don't have it all figured out. That's not fair. This is a lifetime thing. I'm going to make sure that my boys know, especially my boys, and I'm praying that we get a daughter soon. In Jesus' name, amen. That they know that you can come back. Our home is open, and I understand as a man, that's a hard thing to have to go back to your parents' house. It makes you feel less masculine, prideful, all those other things. But they're going to know you always have a place here. Now you'll have to have a job. You don't have to worry about paying the bill. We'll do that, but you have a home here, because sometimes we are in our survival mode and we genuinely do need help. But our survival mode will not allow us to ask for help. So yes, we're not going to ask our parent or our sister or our aunt and our uncle, hey, can I borrow, $100 to the next paycheck? Or even some of us are so down bad, and there's no judgment when I say this, we don't even know when we would be able to give the money back, but we know we need help financially. But I'm telling you, that survival mode is such a choke hold on your life, on your progression, because yes, you will be progressing, but it's at such a slower rate than you could be. So it has to be a balance. It has to be a balance between your romantic and your platonic relationships. And how you make that balance is to making sure that you have the mental capacity first. And that goes into step number 3. That survival mode could affect your mind's natural ability to detect danger and misinterpret normal behavior as dangerous and even sometimes evil. And like I've mentioned earlier about the sexual trauma, trigger warning, that innocent things like a hug, a handshake, holding hands, that thing to somebody that has experienced a sexual trauma that is both unresolved and resolved, that thing can feel like you are in immediate danger. Women that have gone through it, men that have gone through it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For me, it even did something to my very skin on my body, y'all. I would feel like my skin was literally like I needed to scrub it. And women that have experienced rape, trigger, they can attest that is how their bodies can feel sometimes, either during intimacy or when someone touches them, or even when their abuser is around them or even touches them, that they feel like they need to scrub and scrub and scrub their body. And no matter how much they scrub their body, they still feel that they're not clean. I will say that I had a period where I just I did not like all that touch. And even sometimes I still struggle with it with my children. They hug and they touch, and I just be like, oh, that is too much. That is too much hugging. That is too much touching. Like, please. But I'm really, really being more intentional working on that, because I know little boys need love. Little girls need love. It's not just our daughters that need hugs and kisses. Our sons need it too. They need that, because I am teaching them how a woman loves. My husband will teach our daughter how a man loves. Then he'll teach our sons how a man should be, and I'll be teaching my daughter how a woman should be. We are examples for our children. And I don't want them to feel like, oh, nobody loves me. To experience that big emotion like that neglectfulness as a child, that thing can be very, very detrimental if it is not taken care of properly. A child will feel like they have no place in this world. A child, I didn't say an adult, a child is feeling this way. And then you wonder why they're acting out. They're, doing things that they are already in their survival mode at that point. Because they feel these things, they don't know how to express them. And now they're like, bet I'm going to cause trouble at school because I need my parents' attention. I need my mom and my dad's love. I am not the perfect parent, but I would be crushed if my child felt that way. I really would. Life is busy, but I don't ever, even if my podcast blows up, my crochet business blows up, I won't ever be too busy for my children, for my family, for my husband. Because before all this thing shot through the roof, I was there for them. And that is something that is very, very important to me when I first became married and then when I became a mother. Those things are extremely important, to me, that they know that. And even how I said it affects your natural ability to detect danger, even when you are trying to be intimate, whether it is full actual sex or it is just kissing, holding hands, touching, rubbing, all of that, it's like it's such a challenge for you to even accept or give it. Survival mode. Like being able to be open and vulnerable. Yes, I'm not saying you'll be able to do that with everyone, not even me. I have my vulnerable moments with my friend, with my parents, but the most vulnerable I am and I desire to be is with my spouse and even with my children. Because everybody can't get that because, yes, I will say you will open yourself up to being able to be hurt if you're just like this all the time. Like I don't think, and this is my own personal opinion, I don't think for me, I don't find it beneficial to be that way all the time. But there are moments in my life where I can show up and be vulnerable, and I try to capitalize on those moments and make sure that I'm showing up for my friends, showing up for my spouse, showing up for our children. And whether your trauma is unresolved and resolved, understand that you can still be in survival mode. It can be dormant or active. And if you find yourself at the end of this episode and you're like, man, I really, really, really want to come out of this survival mode. Okay, so what do I do? If you've been watching, I think you know what I'm going to say. Therapy. Therapy is going to be your first step because, especially if you have a great therapist, they will help you unpack your trauma in a safe and secluded environment, whether it's over video chat or you actually go in person. The way that a therapist can help you unpack those things that, you're dealing with but don't really know how to put the words to describe or the emotion to describe, it is breathtaking, which is why I truly believe therapists are gifted, the good ones, because all of them ain't good, and that's just with any profession. The good ones, I truly believe that is their God-given talent to help people. We need help, whether we admit it or not. Some of us, maybe we just need help for, 6 months. But some of us that have experienced deep-rooted trauma and have suppressed it for years and years and years, you might be there for a while. And understand that it's okay if you find yourself at this wall, at this crossroad, at this stop sign, and you're like, listen, I can't afford another wrong turn. You ever heard somebody say that? I can't afford to start over. I can't afford to not, survival mode. That's for sure survival mode language. Because you can afford to do it the right way. You can afford to do it in getting the assistance and the help that you need to be able to progress forward. You cannot do this alone. If you think that you can do this alone, try it, hit me back, and let me know how it worked out for you. You cannot do this alone. Turning off survival mode, it takes work. And you're going to need help beyond yourself, whether it is your spouse, whether it is a professional, whether it is God. you're going to need extra help. Because if you think that you're going to be able to write it down on a piece of paper, put it on your mirror, and it's just going to change for you, yes, manifesting what you want to see by speaking it aloud is possible. But the thing, faith without works is dead. You're still going to have to work. A lot of us are hung up on the, oh, well, girl, I'm healed. I want to be married. You're saying it, but your actions are still speaking that, you want to do your own thing. You don't want to answer to nobody. You got these things about yourself that are not really attractive as far as a sustainable relationship goes, and you won't work on them. So it has to go beyond just saying and actually stepping up to the plate to do, because there are people that are depending on you. Even if you are not married, even if you don't have a spouse, God has people that are meant to meet you in your lifetime to help change their life, or even people that are meant to change your life but have not met you yet, and they won't meet you in the condition that you're in now. It takes work to work. Even a marriage, it takes work to work. You can't just say, I want to celebrate our 20-year anniversary, and y'all don't talk about your problems. You don't try to work things out. You don't try to, set boundaries. You don't try to do any of that, and you're saying that you want to make it 20 years. It's not possible. If this is something you want, get help. If this is something you need, get help. If this is something you desire, get help. Okay? Can you do that for me? Okay. How y'all feel? Y'all all right? Listen, you already know what I'm going to say. If you want to be like me, if you want to be my 2020 twin, if you want some Unlearn Reborn podcast merch, baby, we still are live online. We live. Okay? Listen, you can go to www.ulrbpod.com and click fan merch at the top left banner, I believe. And it will send you to all of the beautiful goodie merchandise that we have. We have sweatshirts, t-shirts, hoodies, a mug, and even stickers if you would like that. Listen, I would love for you to place an order. And when you get your order and you post it on IG, FB, Snap, I need you to, well, I'm not on Snapchat, but I need you to tag me on Facebook and Instagram. You can tag me, Shania Alyse. You can tag me on IG at _Shania Alyse. And listen, I want to put y'all on my story, okay? I want to show the people that y'all love and support me, and I want to put y'all out there. I also, if you would like to place an order for a custom crochet ruffle bucket hat, you can go to my Facebook, and it will be one of the pin posts. If it's not already, I'll make sure I have it up by the time this podcast goes live. It'll be one of the pin posts, and it's a Google Doc that you can fill out and place an order with me. Listen, crocheting has really, really allowed me to thrive, allowed me to relax, allowed me to really find a hobby that I find meaningful, and I just get to create. So if you want something that is handmade by me, please place your order on the Google Doc. I think that's all the announcements. And of course, as always, you can meet me back here same time next week. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on our social media platforms, follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Okay, there's a new episode every Sunday at 9 a.m. EST unless I tell you otherwise. Okay, I love you. I'm here for you. You got this. Talk soon. Peace.